Lilith, the first woman, and her legacy of rebellion and mystery. Darkness has long been the enemy of men because of the strange and dangerous creatures that lurk in its shadows. One of the most dangerous enemies to man, however, she is also considered the most beautiful woman ever created, Lily. This woman was made to be Adam's mate, but due to their incompatibility, it became necessary for God to create another mate for Adam named Eve. But who is Lily, and why did her great thirst for power cause her downfall and destruction? Before continuing with today's topic, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. She is the first woman to be created. According to many rabbinical texts, the main source of Jewish mythology, there are several different perspectives on who Lily is and why she was so dangerous, but they all involve her hatred for Adam, Eve, and her descendants. Depending on the version, she is usually portrayed as a dangerous seductress or a child killer. Sometimes she is also considered an evil demon or a practitioner of witchcraft. She was known for casting spells on men and women who worshipped God. Lilith was not originally created to be such an evil being. However, the Bible tells us that on the sixth day man and woman were created. Lilith's terrible attributes and unpleasant disposition are sometimes attributed to this fact. Yet despite being made of impure dust, Lilith was the most beautiful woman ever created. She was known to be perfect in every way. Adam was immediately captivated by his partner's beauty and thanked God for creating her. This sense of contentment did not last long. Almost as soon as Lilith emerged into the world, she began to quarrel with Adam. It seems that the greatest conflict surrounding Adam and Lilith's relationship was the issue of sexual intimacy. Lilith was offended by Adam's insistence that she lie beneath him to copulate, and had no problem informing Adam of her displeasure. Lilith quickly began to argue with Adam on the matter and would not budge. She insisted that since she was also made of dust, she was his equal and should not be placed in an inferior position. Adam was displeased with Lilith's stance as a man and leader of their union. Adam felt that Lilith should respect his instructions. God felt bad for Adam and sent 3 angels to help him, to find Lilith. The angels flew in search of Lilith and were shocked at what they found after searching the world for her. Lilith was discovered in the Red Sea, an area filled with hundreds of demons to make matters worse. Lilith was copulating with these demons and giving birth to hundreds of new demons daily. When God realized that Lilith would never return, he decided to create another companion for Adam. This time, he allowed Adam to watch the creation process. God used bones, muscles, tissue, blood, and organs to fashion the new woman, called the first Eve. However, Adam could not bear to look at her, disgusted by the creation process he had witnessed. Recognizing his mistake, God took the first Eve away, and no one knows what happened to her. God then waited until Adam fell asleep, took one of his ribs, and from it fashioned a new woman. This Eve was created in the image of both God and Adam. When he presented her to the man, he was immediately enchanted. However, the couple's happiness was brief. An evil serpent entered the Garden of Eden and tempted them to eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Although many associate this serpent with Satan or Lucifer, ancient texts suggest that Lilith may have been responsible for the temptation and subsequent expulsion of Adam and Eve from God's favor. This idea raises the possibility that Lilith is an alternate manifestation of Satan. Because Lilith left Eden long before the fall of Adam and Eve and is not subject to death, she has come to be viewed as a demon or dark deity by many cultures. Some texts still describe Lilith's creation differently, stating that God initially planned to create a man and a woman together, but changed his mind and created a man with a male face on the front of his body and a female face on the back. But changed his mind and created a man with a male face on the front of his body and a female face on the back. After seeing this creature, formed from a single body with male and female faces, struggling to communicate and find happiness, God changed his mind and decided to separate them. Adam remained in the original body, facing forward, while Lilith was molded from the female face that looked back. When separated, Lilith immediately began to quarrel with Adam. She argued that since they were created from the same body, they were equal and should not be forced to lie beneath him to copulate. This view led to the same conflict described in other versions of the mythology, with Lilith eventually fleeing and refusing to return to Adam. Because of Lilith's connection to the fall of man and her general hatred of Adam and Eve, she became associated with various misfortunes and sufferings visited upon humanity. To the myths, Lilith, and in some versions also her supposed ally Naaman, sought out men who slept alone, making single men and lone travelers her main targets. Lilith was said to make men sin in their dreams by touching them and provoking forbidden thoughts. Although Lilith's sexual dreams were considered a moral deviation, her most serious threat involved sucking the blood of her male victims and, in extreme cases, consuming their flesh. Lilith was also associated with the suffering of women who were unable to conceive children. Although she herself had no limitations in producing offspring, she was believed to seek to inflict pain at all stages of conception, childbirth, and childbearing. Her connection with infertility may have arisen because she could not attack babies protected by angelic amulets. Rabbinic texts and some biblical passages suggest that there were two separate creations of women for Adam, indicating that Lilith and Eve were not the same person. Lilith was created at the same time as Adam, while Eve was fashioned from one of his ribs. This difference in the creation processes reinforces the idea that Lilith was Adam's first mate, but her rejection of the submissive role transformed her into a dangerous demon. Some ancient scholars struggled to identify Adam's first wife and attributed to her characteristics of Lilith, a previously known demonic figure. This raises the possibility that Lilith, as described in these texts, was not actually Adam's first wife, but rather a personification of human fears and misfortunes projected onto a mythical figure. It is important to note that the stories of Lilith, although originating from rabbinic texts and biblical passages, have deep connections with Middle Eastern mythologies. The story of the creation of man in Judaism and Christianity, for example, does not have direct parallels in other cultures, but there are elements that may seem similar. An ancient painting from earlier cultures depicts a scene where God, in the form of an anaphora god, watches a woman murder her twin brother. Another theory suggests that the story of Lilith may have roots in real historical events, such as the story of a queen named Livia, who, after being replaced by a new government, fled to avoid the control of nomadic shepherds. This queen was replaced by another figure, Queen Eve, whose name is derived from the term Mother of All Living, possibly a reference to the Hittite storm god. This combination of myth and historical stories raises questions about the true nature of Lilith and whether she was actually Adam's first wife. Regardless of her association with Adam, Lilith is feared and respected in many ancient cultures, being seen as both a demonic figure and one of power and rebellion. She represents the breaking of norms and the fight for independence and equality. As for its legend, it remains fascinating and for many represents a symbol of strength and resistance against submission. The legend of Lilith remains an open question for many, and different interpretations are part of the rich tapestry of myths and stories that influence cultures to this day. What do you think of the story of Lilith? Do you think it has any special meaning, or do you see it as just an ancient legend? Let us know in the comments.